The Iraqi army has announced that it has liberated the city of Fallujah from Islamic State terrorists. The military campaign against ISIL in the area began in late May, and now the head of the operation's counter-terror forces says Iraqi troops have entered the very last neighborhood under Islamic State control. Fallujah, which is only 65 kilometers from the country's capital, has been under the terror group's control since January 2014. It was the first city to fall to the militants. However, it's feared the offensive could further worsen the refugee crisis. The UN warns that at least 2.3 million people could be displaced if the Iraqi government and its US allies carry out plans to drive the terror group from the majority of the country this year.
We're literally talking in just a few months about doubling the number of families who are displaced in the country.
The most important is to increase the prevention of conflicts. All these people now, more than 65 million people are displaced by conflict in the world. And we see this multiplication of new conflicts. We see old conflicts that never die. It is absolutely essential to increase the resources, the capacities, the possibility to mobilize all those that have an influence on the parties to the conflicts in order to prevent those conflicts from happening and then in order to solve them as soon as they happen. This is, I would say, the biggest flaw we have today, the international community capacity, and it is this flaw that needs to be addressed with maximum priority, because better than to help refugees is to make sure that there won't be more refugees in the future.
Iraq's already the second largest source after Syria of refugees seeking asylum in the EU. All in all, more than 120,000 people have already asked for asylum in the bloc just over the last 18 months. Author and war correspondent Reese Ehrlich expects more migrants to flee the conflict zones and fears authorities still won't be able to deal efficiently with the liberated areas.
As the Iraqi army has slowly taken hold and taken control in Fallujah, at least 90,000 refugees have fled that city. And we can expect more as additional cities are liberated. People are desperate to leave. We'll see if there's a big influx of people to Europe. For sure, there will be a big influx, hundreds of thousands of Iraqis displaced within Iraq and possibly to neighboring countries. It's good that the various forces have been able to fight against the horrible Islamic State, but you have to govern the country and govern the areas that they controlled afterwards. And so far, the Iraqi government has proven itself not capable of doing that.
A new report reveals the arms being sent by the CIA to so-called moderate Syrian rebels are often ending up right on the black market. The news comes as relations between US-backed armed groups in the country get even more complicated.
The Syrian Kurdish militia, the YPG, and the Free Syrian Army both have a common enemy, ISIL. They also have a common friend, the US. It seems they should be allies, but that's not the case. The two groups have been fighting each other since 2012, and now the conflict between them has escalated and risks becoming even more bloody with US weapons in their hands. In a recent clash, the Free Syrian Army fired a tow missile at a YPG position. If the two groups that are supposed to be helping Washington against ISIL are busy fighting each other, who is going to battle the terrorists?
There are two different programs, one run by the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, another one run by the Pentagon. The Pentagon one seems to have been a bit of a disaster. They supplied a lot of weapons to the rebels who basically were defeated when they first entered into the country, and the rebels went into, the weapons went into the hands of hardline Islamists. The CIA seems to be more with the Islamist groups, and there's some allegations that they're actually working with the Jabhat al-Nusra, the Nusra Front, which is the affiliate of al-Qaeda in Syria. So if you want one word to sum up US policy in Syria, it's confusion.